Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I
always try to give you a heads up while you're not like, wait. Okay, I think we're good. We're live. So I want to say good morning. It's Monday. And of course, we have another great chamber chat planned for you today. Before I introduce, well, I say introduce Linda, but you're kind of a common face around here. You're just one of our friends now here in Graham. So, but I'll still introduce you. But I do want to say thank you to Tim Walker at Y100.5 for helping us get the word out and broadcasting these on the radio. We really, really appreciate the support we receive from Positive Radio Network. So thank you. And then, of course, thank you, Linda, for being here with us today. Linda is with the SBA. And of course, as all of you know, the SBA has been working around the clock, trying to implement ways to support businesses through a very difficult time, and has really done a good job. And I know there's been hiccups, and you know, we've talked about this before, but I love to poke fun at the SBA sometimes, but all in good, you know. I do. I mean, it is fun, right? But I mean that, you know, with the best of intention, because really I know how hard everyone's been working, and we certainly appreciate it. And of course, one of the ways that y'all are working hard is trying to not only put those systems and support programs into place, but then get the word out about them. So we appreciate you taking some time to share information with us, keep us updated so that we're in the loop on all of that as well.
Cool.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about some updates, and then I want to make sure we do a Q&A. So those of you watching, please feel free to comment, let us know you're watching, but also ask us your questions. Linda and I will both be following up on anything we don't get covered during the live, but we'll try to get as much of that covered during the live as we possibly can. So please ask your questions. That helps us know what content to share. And then, you know, like the Facebook video, share it with your friends, help us get the word out, because the more people who we can reach who learn more about these programs, the more people who can be helped through them. So thank you all for watching. And Linda, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Krisa. You're right on it. When I call around seeing who would like one of these presentations, you're right on it. And in fact, I think you were my first to confirm. So it's really good to be here.
That's a good feeling.
You hop on it, you do, and you know firsthand about our programs too. So that's nice. What we're going to do today, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to run through two things. There's two programs that are out there that I want everyone to pay particular attention to in regard to COVID recovery relief programs. And one of them is the economic injury disaster loan. A lot of people kind of skipped over that one, going for PPP, the forgivable loan, but we've got some grants included in that. And there are businesses here in Graham that would qualify for it, I'm sure. You are in the targeted area anyway. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to just fly through that. And then I'm going to show you what's on our website so that you can get more of this information yourself and give you some more resources. But then we'll go into PPP forgiveness. We've launched another thing that will, I think, help people just simplify it for you. But you do need, if you do have a PPP loan already, and you haven't asked for forgiveness, you really need to pay attention to what I'm going to say in the second half of this. But I've got it timed out to where if I just talk straight through, it would be about a half an hour. So if everybody wants to stop and do questions, that's all right. I'll try to keep my attention span is short. I'll try to keep it though on my slides, but it would be a little bit longer program. So it's up to you. And Krisa, you are at the helm of all of this, and you do very good. So I'm your guest, and you're the master on this. So
well,
at any rate,
we appreciate you.
You're more than welcome. And I'm going to share my screen right now. And you'll kind of see me from the side on the live video, because I'm going to be watching my larger screen so that I can keep up. But at any rate, that's me. And this is what we're talking about today. It's just an overview. I'm not going deep in the weeds, and I won't be able to really go into real deep answer questions on your particular application. But I want everyone to get the idea of where to go to do this on your own, and it's been very simplified. But all of this is at sba.gov, and let's just get started. Here's the code. If you were to go to sba.gov EIDL. This is what you would see, this top part of the screen right here. And you would choose among economic injury disaster loan, the advanced programs, that's grant, that's code for grant, by the way. And then a little bit of data on the EIDL. We won't even go into that. This is what I want you to pay attention to right here. It's a loan that provides economic relief to small businesses and nonprofit organizations that are currently experiencing a temporary loss of revenue. You need to have been in business by February 15th, 2020 in order to be eligible for the loan. This is a loan that is repayable. There is no forgiveness in the loan itself. Once you, if you've ever applied for this, you should not apply again for it. But at any rate, if, let's say you've already applied and now you're interested in that grant, and that's when we'll go into the second part real quick. But at any rate, let's look at it. On the internet, if you were on this page, you would see, if you clicked learn more, you'd see the bottom part of this screen right here. And it gives you the details, tells you all about it. And look at this, you can apply online. But again, if you've already done that, don't do it again. You can only have one application. That could slow down the process on your advance. So at any rate, this loan, the EIDL loan, the purpose of it is to meet your financial obligations, your operating expenses that you could have met had the disaster not occurred. And it's for 24 months. Right now, it's for 24 months of economic injury based on what your business was doing right at the time of the onset of the COVID disaster, which was February 15th, 2020. It goes up to 500,000 now. It started out very small, 150, and there is talk, I think it might be even increased above that 500,000. If you already have a loan, stay tuned. You can ask for an increase, and it says right on the line, see that blue, that's a link for you to go. But this is a 3.75% interest loan over 30 years, which means that payment is going to be very small. And if you take the loan and you really don't need it, you're ready, you don't need all of it, you're ready to pay it back, or all or some, there's no prepayment penalty on it. But all of this detail you can go and find on our website. There's no collateral if it's $25,000 loan. If it's over that, what we do, we don't take real estate on this one as collateral. We just put a security agreement on the personal property of a business personal property, which would be like your furniture, fixtures, inventory. So at any rate, so that's just what it is. This is what it looks like when you go into this portal to apply. And it's really a pretty quick process, but what you want to do is get it right the first time. There are some errors that if you make, it can seriously delay things for you. So get it right. You've got to have your bank account right. You have to know what the routing number is, checking account. It must be an active account that you've been using. You have to get your email address right. All those things can cause some pretty serious delays if you don't get that right. And your EIN, Social Security number, you need to have that ready. But at any rate, let me give you a little bit bigger screen of what the bottom of that looks like. You just check that, you just start off, you check what kind of business you are. I've checked here an agricultural cooperative, aquaculture, that these are included. And if that applies to you and it tells you a size standard, if you're not sure about the size standard, there's a link to it. So it's really very explanatory. Okay, so you've applied for the EIDL. If you're offered an EIDL loan, you don't have to take the loan, whether or not you take the loan or decline the loan. And you can still go forward with the EIDL advance. It's too late to apply for that original advance, but the same amount of money and even more is available now if you meet the target. So, so we're going to do the learn more, and you'll see right here, this is where I've just pasted that right in. It says check the map. Are you in a low income area? and review the eligibility criteria below. So everything is just right there. You click this. A lot of the rural areas are, because for whatever reason, it's in that census tract that's been identified as their small businesses. They're a lot of them very, very small, as your center. I'll just show you what the map looks like. So here's where you go. Let's say you check the map, and we'll click that check the map just a second, but you can actually apply for this targeted EIDL here, and it goes up the whole thing. The targeted and the supplemental targeted can go all the way up to $15,000. It's a grant that does not have to be repaid. And you click apply here. You're not applying for the EIDL loan. You've already done that. Now you're applying for this grant.
And that's a lot. Streamlined.
That's a lot. That's originally what they were offering in 2020, but they didn't have this target here. And
No,
now
it was easy to miss.
It was easy to, yes, it was just one little box on the application.
Yeah. You know, if you're not a detail person, guilty, you missed that little checkbox, and guess what? You can't go back.
I start reading books at the back, okay? So I know how it ends up, and short attention span, but at any rate, yes, you could have missed it. But at any rate, here's a chance if you're in this target or in a low income community. Did you have, and can you demonstrate it, more than 30% reduction in revenue during an 8-week period beginning March the 2nd, 2020 or later? So in other words, we're going to compare it to 2019. What were you doing then? And we go by what you reported on your tax return. So you have to have at least that 30% reduction. You have to have 300 or fewer employees. In 2020, it was 500 or fewer. So now they're targeting these funds to get to the smallest of the businesses in the areas that were substantially impacted. So let's look at the tool. I've looked up, I use the address, if you don't mind, Krisa, I used your address here.
Perfect.
608 Elm Street, and anything in purple, see over here on the left side, it says yes. That means you're in this census tract. Some people will say, well, I'm on one side of the street and I'm not in the grant area, in the targeted area, and the business across the street is. Now, something's got to be wrong. It's going by census tract. So that's just the dividing line. But here is some of that map. It's not the whole map. It's what I could fit on the page. But you can see right here, it looks like the downtown area. Would you say that's the downtown area, Krisa?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
But you get over to Tennessee Street. Do you have a Tennessee Street there?
We do have a Tennessee Street, yes.
This may be one of those situations where one side of the street is in the target and the other side is not. So, but these folks that are not in the target for the advance, there's still that EIDL loan that's just a fantastic loan. And the object is to get you over the hump so that you don't lose everything, so you don't lose your business. So even if you're in that yellow area, if you haven't applied for EIDL, please do that. So, and then I'm going to skip the next one. The next one is for another area. So now look at this. That was 10. Now we're going to look at another 5,000 more for you. And that's a total. If you got originally 10,000, let's say last year, we actually came back, and the people that only got 1,000, we've come back and we've made them whole for 10 if they applied last year. But at any rate, we're looking at a total of 15,000 that's available to anyone through these grant programs on the EIDL. So this explains how that works, but it's not real complicated. This means if you can prove more than a 50% economic loss during an 8-week period beginning March 2nd, 2020 or later, compared to the same period in the previous year, you've got it. And normally we're going to verify that with tax returns. And look at this. Now you have to have 10 or fewer employees. So now we're really getting down into micro businesses. But these are the hardest hit. So this is available to you as a grant that you can apply for if you meet this criteria, and you can do it online.
And that was,
Okay.
I just want to clarify, Linda, that's looking at your gross revenue, not your net revenue, correct?
That's looking at your gross. That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. And it will explain all of that. When you get into that tool, it's pretty forthright, but you really should have a copy of your tax return when you're on the portal going through the application. I do believe you can save it in the portal, but you don't want to just hit the trigger and go, oh, they'll tell me if I need more information or whatever. That's where things really, really slow down. If you hear people saying, oh, I've been waiting months. Well, we've been waiting months too to get the information back that we need. So so at any rate, so you want to just break and see if we've got a question on the idle, because I'm going into PPP forgiveness now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me check. It looks like we have quite a few people watching. So I want to say thank you to those of you who are watching and those of you who are listening on Y100.5, but I don't see any questions yet. I'll keep checking.
Okay, good. Well, I guess I've got so many resources on here. You can go in and dig a little bit deeper, but it's so important that we get that information out to you. So here's about the Paycheck Protection Program. We're only going to talk about forgiveness now because the opportunity to apply for the actual PPP forgivable loan itself is over. We've reached the maximum. There's been some buzz in Congress. I think people have, excuse me, contacted their representatives, their senators, and they're, we have nothing to do with that, and we don't lobby to Congress to add any more funds right now. Nothing's been added to it. There's no legislation that passed for this to add funds to the PPP program itself, but there are funds in there available if you have a PPP loan to ask for forgiveness. If you do not ask for forgiveness, it's a loan. It's a repayable loan over 5 years at 1%. So at any rate, this is where you go, sba.gov/PPP, and you want to go down here and you want to click loan forgiveness. Well, actually, you click down here.
And Linda, for those who are listening on the radio, since they can't see what we're seeing, I'm just going to say again that this is on the website and it's really clear. It's down in the bottom right-hand corner. It says PPP loan forgiveness.
And if you've got the ginormous cell phone like I do, you could put this on speaker and go pull up sba.gov/PPP. I'm just taking this right.
Unless you're driving, and then don't do that.
Huh?
I said, unless you're driving, and then don't do that.
That's right. Absolutely. No texting and driving here. Okay, let's make that very clear. Thank you for saying that, Krisa. So I'm assuming that you're sitting on the side of the road in a safe place, and you could do that. But at any rate, these slides are going to be provided to Krisa, and she can get those out, communicate directly with her if you want a copy. And
we'll put them on our website also, as long as that's okay with you, Linda, grahamtexas.net. So that way, if anybody is listening and they want to follow back up and use this is a great walkthrough tool to guide you as you're going through the process. So if you want that.
So the whole thing is being recorded, right? And you'll have the link to everything. So we're live streamed. Okay, cool. All right, so let's say we're going to look at loan forgiveness. You're going to click learn more. And this is just some content. I blew it up so that we can see it. But when can you apply for forgiveness? Once all loan proceeds for which the borrower is requesting forgiveness have been used, anytime up to the maturity date of the loan. Okay, once you hit that maturity date, it was a loan, and you likely have already started making payments by then. If you do not apply for forgiveness and within 10 months after the last day of your covered period, then PPP loan payments are no longer deferred. Right now, they're deferred up until 10 months after the last day of what, right now you could, if you applied this year, you kind of pick your covered period. If it's 8, it's anywhere from 8 to 24 weeks right after you receive that disbursement on your loan. So they're just not deferred anymore. You're going to start making payments, but that doesn't mean you can't ask for forgiveness but that's the mark for when you're going to have to start making payments. So that's why we're urgently getting out to everyone to get it in, and to get that forgiveness application in, and we've made it simple. But so we're going to click on forgiveness, and you can see first draw, second draw. You're not going to click that to apply for either of these. If you haven't already applied, that opportunity is over. And then it goes into how and when to apply. But well, actually, you will click those because it will tell you about the forgiveness terms. So what's key in this, here's your first draw PPP and your second draw. In either of these, if you must use at least 60% of the proceeds on your payroll cost to get full forgiveness. The other 40% is going to be for other allowed expenses. And the website goes into great detail on what's allowed and what's not. But let's say you don't, let's say, as it turned out, you were only able to use 50% on your payroll. And that doesn't mean you don't have forgiveness. That just means that then you're going to be dispersed you're going to be forgiven on that portion that fell within that 60%. And then we'll look at the other, whatever you turned in for the other. All of your loan can be for your payroll, but at least 60% has to be for that. Now, if on the loan you spent no money on payroll, none, it was for all these other eligible expenses, then there is no forgiveness on your loan. You have to spend some of it on payroll.
And it seems like, Linda, and I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I would assume that most businesses are spending, I mean, since it was based on your payroll in the first place, sure, I mean, for the most part, you would think that logically it would be able to be applied to payroll, and you would have spent at least 60% on payroll. But I will say this, and this is where I might be jumping ahead, so I apologize in advance, but the forgiveness paperwork was more complicated than the application paperwork. And I'm not saying that to complain. I'm saying that as just a heads up to people. Don't wait until that last day and think you're going to just knock that out in 30 seconds, because now I ended up being able to do a shorter, much more streamlined version because our amount was under the threshold amount for what you probably know more about what I'm talking about than I do. But that first one that I filled out, it took me a few hours to sit down and fill it out. So I just don't want people to think it's going to be as easy as that application was, because it takes a little more time.
That's correct, because this is the part where you're really proving how you use those funds. And there were different ways that you can use the fund. But yeah, it does make sense if it's a paycheck protection program that you spent some of it on payroll. So thanks for jumping in there with that. So at any rate, again, if borrowers do not apply for forgiveness within those 10 months after the last day of the covered period, then you will start making payments on it. So here's what you do. Here's what happened recently. We opened a portal where, depending on who your lender is, if they opted in for this, if they are opted into the direct forgiveness portal, that means you're going to apply for forgiveness directly to SBA, then you need to go forward with that. You wouldn't be applying with your PPP. Chances are, with your PPP lender, chances are your lender is not in that portal. There are a lot that are, but there are a lot that aren't. They've set up a relationship on that loan, and they understand the loan and the business and all that. And so some of the lenders have preferred to stay back and not be in that portal. But this will tell you right now, it's telling you right in order of what you should do. This is all on our website. Determine if your lender is participating. So there's the list of lenders participating in that direct forgiveness with the SBA. And in that portal is including our 3508S. So you must, to be able to go forward with this, you would be at $150,000 loan or less. That would be one of the things. And there's a little bit other criteria. But if you can get into that portal, if you're eligible to do it, that's the way to go. That's the fastest way for you.
So
Otherwise,
sorry, but I'm curious. So when we did our forgiveness for the chamber PPP funding, we did it through a portal. I think it was a Sierra Bank portal, but is that actually like a Sierra Bank SBA portal?
that's the bank's portal for handling
Wow, I didn't even
forgiveness.
realize that.
And their forms that they use are they'll cover the same material that ours do, but they have it their own way. They've spent some money setting that up, and that's their own software.
Okay.
But what I'm talking about here is it's a portal that just goes straight to SBA. We do the crunching on it, and then we send it to your lender, and then your lender goes yes or whatever. But it's a real fast way to do it. But you've got to determine if your lender is participating, and your loan needs to be 150,000 or less to go with that. But at any rate, either way, even if you go through your lender, you're under 150,000, you meet the other criteria, then it's very, very quick. We also have a form 3508EZ, and that's for other size loans, but you might have 150,000. You could still use that form, but your objective is to use the simplest form. 3508S is simple. 3508EZ is a little more complicated, and 3508 is going to cover all the scenarios of the what ifs. Okay.
I feel like the easy should have been the easy one, though.
You would have thought, but it depended on your situation. But I can tell you how to make that easy, because at the end, I'm going to tell you about some webinars that do go into the weeds for you.
Good, because there's a huge difference. I filled out 2 of them, and I'm telling you, one took me like a solid 2 to 3 hours. The other one took about 5 minutes to fill out.
And your lender wanted you to go ahead and use the short form, didn't your lender?
I did. Yes, I just filled the wrong one out on accident, not on purpose. And so when I sent it in, they said, "Oh, actually, this is going to be a lot easier for you. Fill this one out instead." And I was like, "Yeah, a whole lot easier." Wow. So, really 5 minutes, I think, would have been max.
So the moral of that story, Krisa, is check with your lender first. Would that be helpful?
I think that would be a very good idea. And I think all of our local lenders are participating in the forgiveness.
Oh, are they? The portal?
To my knowledge.
Okay.
I could be wrong, so I don't want to misspeak, but I'll ask actually, and then I'll
out there. A lot of them are, but you'll be able to tell when you get into the portal, but look it up first. But anyway, that's your first step. That's a big breakthrough, by the way.
Huge.
Put your documentation together, okay? Put it all together at the same time. You don't want to be piecing things. You've got to send everything with your application. We may request information and documents to review those calculations as part of a loan review or audit process, so you keep your receipts. But let's say you're going into the portal, the SBA portal, or you're using that 3508S form. We're not going to ask that you put the receipts with your request for forgiveness, but that doesn't mean you don't need those receipts, because you can be asked for those documents. We will be reviewing these loans, not every single one, but we could review it. So you want to hold those for at least 4 years. So this tells you on our website what you need: the bank account statements, or third-party payroll service provider, your tax forms, and it goes into a lot of specific. I'm really not going to do that exactly here, but you can tell, it just tells you everything that you need before you even start filling out. But this is very important down here. This on this slide, it says, do not include the following when calculating eligible payroll costs for forgiveness. So you're reading through this and you go, okay, there was Disaster Tax Relief Act of 2020, and there's a employee retention credit. Well, I didn't take that, so I can include it here. Okay, if you didn't take that, go look at it. Okay, see what it's all about, because that is a really great tax credit for you right there.
And I think we have a chamber chat on the website that covers that, because it is a really beneficial credit.
Very, very. So yes, go on the website, Graham Chamber of Commerce. It's right there for everyone. Like if someone's in a different town and they're not a chamber member, they can still see that. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes, those are available. We tried to keep our COVID updates page as user friendly and up to date as possible for anyone to be able to use. We just want to get the information out there.
Perfect. Thank you. And do you have to live in Graham to join the chamber?
You do not have to live in Graham to join the chamber. So if you're doing business in Graham, or if you just love Graham and want to support the community, we welcome all members here. So
cool.
You do not have to live here. There's no requirement of zip code to join the chamber.
This is a fun chamber, by the way, even though they spoof SBA at their parties and things like that. It's because they work so hard on all of this. It's their way. It's their release. And so whatever release, happens over there, we don't know about. Okay, just have fun with Krisa, because she knows how to make the chamber fun. I'll just say that.
We have a fun community. Honestly, it's a good place to live and work.
Now I look forward to when you have events there. I think you have one coming up. So anyway, here's non-payroll costs. Tells you exactly what you need. So you start looking at this and you go, gee, I wonder if I should involve my CPA in this. Okay, you got a CPA? Yes. This is why you have a CPA to help you with this. So you want your CPA to help you to get this right. You don't have a CPA? I check into it, but it should be, there is enough information on here where you could navigate through it without one. So let's look at this forgiveness portal. This is right on our website. You get to it right here. You click SBA Direct Forgiveness Portal. And this is just half of the screen. I'll show you the other half. I just couldn't get it all on one screen. But here's the portal. And the first thing you do is you register your request. You register in the portal. And then on the right side, you're going to actually apply for forgiveness, the application itself. So there's two different processes, but the first thing you do is you register. Let me show you something right here. Don't miss this. There's a phone number for customer service, and these are live customer service agents that are there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you call after hours, they will return your call. These are people that they're not in the regular disaster customer service. They're focused on this PPP forgiveness. And so that's a resource for you. And I'll show you one other resource.
And do they assist people with the EIDL loan also, or just PPP?
It's just PPP. It's set up specifically for the PPP. We have the regular disaster number for the EIDL questions, but we ramped up. There's a lot of customer service representatives working on the PPP forgiveness. We're trying to get these loans forgiven. We want to get them off the books and get them forgiven. If you're eligible for that, we want you to do it as soon as you can. So right here, this is the right side of that portal screen. Okay, you register on one side and then you actually log in on the other side. Down at the bottom, here's where you register to start your request. And at the bottom, there's the most wonderful thing that you could imagine, the PPP Direct Forgiveness Platform User Guide. And it's a PowerPoint in itself, all right? I didn't include those slides because you can get those, and it walks you through screenshot by screenshot of that portal. So that is a fantastic resource for you. Here's how you access it for those of you that are not driving and you're just on your phone. It's directforgiveness.sba.gov. That's the website, directforgiveness.sba.gov. That's the portal. And then here's that phone number again. So here are the forms. Let me show you something. Look at this. These forms I'm trying to kind of warn you here. Don't click on this. You can click on this, but just note there's some helpful information on that FAQ. There's a better FAQ in the portal, okay? But just note that the date is October 2020, and we're real good about updating everything. I just happen to notice that one had not been updated.
I'm gonna have to include that in my next spoof.
Huh?
I said I'm gonna have to include that in my next spoof.
Yes, there you go. Like,
You're giving me good
you better
material.
hurry. We're going to fix that, I know. So you better hurry. If you've got a party coming up, there's your material right there. So here's the forms. And notice this. At the end of the form are the instructions, okay? I guess they did it for people like me that are going to look at the back of the document first and then work forward. Start with the instructions, and it will tell you exactly if you qualify to use that form. The instructions are very good. And there's a calculation that you'll do because to use that EZ, you have to have not had reduced your payroll by 25% for that. And there's a calculation in it. But anyway,
staff turnover, that is not an easy calculation.
No, but hey, I've got help for that. Okay, Krisa, I've got this.
Good.
If you'll go to eventbrite.com, a lot of the district offices for SBA are doing the in the weeds kind of presentation and our resource providers, and they're free. Some of them on Eventbrite are not, but they're not the SBA ones. Some of the CPAs are doing them. They may charge. We don't charge for ours, and our resource partners do not either. But if you go to eventbrite.com, you want to search online events for PPP forgiveness. Here's some I just researched this morning that are coming up. There's 2 of them tomorrow. On the left side, you see search for online events. At first, when you enter this, you're going to see forgiveness for things you've done wrong to other people, you know, a lot of mental health things. Okay, you'll know you're at the wrong place. You need to go over and click on online events, okay? Even at the bottom of this search, you're gonna see those others, but you're really looking for PPP forgiveness.
So are you saying we can't call that customer support line and ask for forgiveness for all of our wrongdoings in life?
No, we're not set up for it, but I'm sure some people, I'm sure it's been done. We've seen everything in this disaster. I'm sure it's been done. So no, we don't have the clergy is not involved in,
no confessionals.
No confessionals, no, but at any rate, PPP forgiveness process made easy. You see this West Virginia and Nevada district office, 2 coasts or they're nowhere near each other. I don't know how they got together to collaborate, but they're doing this online, and anything you see presented by West Virginia is very good material. So that's coming up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Just note when you're going online, it may show up as Eastern time at first, but when you register, it'll show your time. But just be aware that there's time difference across the United States. But this one is Central Daylight Time, and that's 1 p.m. And look down here. Let's say you got on that one and it's still not making a lot of sense to you for some reason. There's another one going on, and this looks like it might be done by one of our community development financial institutions. Likely I see SBA mentioned there, but you'll always see our logo if it's one of our events or one of our resource partners, but it's free. It wouldn't hurt you to listen to that. I would bet it's a very good one. And look at this coming up on September 9th, the Tarrant Small Business Development Center out of Fort Worth is giving one at noon. So register for all of them if you want. They're very good. And you may when you do your search find more than these. There may have been more that posted just now, but that's how I'm not doing the in the weeds ones. I think, but I know they're out there. I'm just trying to get the broad information out so people know they need to do this. And this right here, this is our district office website. Actually, it's not the website, but it's our email address. This is your best bet. If you can't find your answer anywhere else, and you call customer service, you still want some help, you're likely in our district office. If you're in another part of the country, there's district offices all over the country. But at any rate, there's our email, and they parcel those out among our staff to respond to that. And this is our number to call in, but I'll tell you, our lines are pretty busy right now. But you know, either one, if you need to reach us because you can't find the answer elsewhere, feel free to call. But really, I recommend your fastest way is to get through those resources I just told you about and get online and get with your CPA if you have one.
Well, and
Yeah.
oh, sorry, something I wanted to mention. Sorry, there might be a little feedback, but something I wanted to mention also is when we had a chamber chat with Walter Lambert with the
yes.
SBDC.
Yes.
And I know, and they're one of the, partners, or I don't remember what you call it.
They're a resource
SBA,
partner.
He's been amazing. I've sent a few people who called me with some questions, and I've given them his information, and he's been so great about really helping people getting them the correct information. And I think they can do that on more of a one-on-one basis. And so I think that's another great option for people who need that additional support, more like on a one-on-one, to kind of walk them through it.
It's amazing. And yes, I've heard he's very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
They received some grant funds actually to dedicate some of their staff or to hire new staff to work just specifically on this. So, yeah, reach out for help. I think the district office, they're now putting our phone number all over the place on the internet, and people are thinking, well, to apply for any of this, we have to contact the district office. Don't think that, because it's not true. You would apply exactly through those links that I just showed you. Do not send a paper application for forgiveness or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program to SBA. We do it online, and those PPP lenders have their own portals as well that are handling that. But if you send in a paper application to SBA, then that goes to the department that needs to look up how are we going to get this back to you. And you'd be surprised how many people have the wrong email address on their applications or the wrong phone numbers. And I'm doing web searches trying to find them so they know. So use that. Do you have the SBD, we call them the SBDCs. Do you have that link on your website?
We do, yes. We have the information on our website, and I can also post it in the comments on this too for anybody who wants to reach out. Yeah, absolutely.
Please do it. And like this one I just mentioned is the Tarrant Small Business Development Center out of Fort Worth. Still listen to that if you'd like, but I bet before September 9th, if you didn't get your question answered today, that you will, if you'll use those resources. And probably the SBDC is doing those presentations as well as webinars, would be my guess. So, okay, good input, Krisa. You've walked down this road before, it sounds like. I know you have.
Well, we're like over a year into this now, aren't we? Isn't that crazy?
Yes, and we're not out of it yet. So that's a good point. We're not out of this yet. So if you go, well, that economic injury disaster loan, I'll have to pay it back, blah, blah, blah. Don't think like that, because you may need that loan. And we think our whole economy is going to recover right around the corner, and we'll get past people having to wear masks and do all these things, but we're not there just yet. So take a look at that economic injury disaster loan if you haven't already. Apply whether or not you take that loan or whether or not you're approved for the loan. If you're in that target, those targets that we just talked about today, you can go in and apply for those once you have applied for that EIDL loan. So it's the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, is open through the end of the year. It's subject to funding, but it's economic injury disaster loan if it is subject to having more funds appropriated through channels in Congress or whatever, but December 31st, we don't know what comes after that. And those EIDL loans may go up to 2 million. That doesn't mean it's $2 million for everyone. It's based on what your company was doing at the time of the disaster. But get in there and find out about it. At least apply if you haven't done it already, and you don't have to take the loan, but it's to your best interest to apply.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think this is one way that we can make sure, kind of like you said, Linda, make sure that we're not caught in a bad place in the near future, or long-term future even, but just being prepared and thinking, 10 steps down the road in case.
That's exactly right. These resources are out there. It's really, I've been with SBA for 20 years now. I spent 12 years as a disaster loan officer. And the National Processing Center is actually in Fort Worth, Texas. And so we were handling loans for all over the country. I've never seen anything like this. I was even working on Katrina, and that was a huge one. But this one is it doesn't have a specific geographic area. Well, except for that grant, there was one on the grant, but our loan programs on these COVIDs and our grants, they're abundant, and I've never seen anything like this. So don't sit back and let these opportunities go by. So at any rate, okay, well, any other questions, Krisa?
I'm going to double check. I posted Walter's information in the chat, and then I'm going to post a link back to this presentation also in the comments. But all of that is also on our website at grimtexas.net. And I'll keep checking the questions so that, if somebody watches it later and they put a question in the comments, I'll try to follow back up with them or send it to you and you can follow back up with them.
Perfect. And probably a good resource would be, you got a real good connection with that Small Business Development Center, and they do a fantastic job over there. They're also funded through the state of Texas and through the university. So at any rate, go for it, and keep smiling, and one day we'll be able to see everyone smiling because we won't be wearing masks anywhere.
Yes, we'll be able to get together again.
So yeah, we'll be able to get together in person. Yes. And so anyway, so we're going to hope for that. It's going to happen, but in the meantime, you really need to plan for the worst. So you need to have this available to you, and there are excellent lifelines out there for your business.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for always being willing to encourage our local businesses, Linda, and share information and keep us in the loop. We appreciate you, and we appreciate what the SBA is doing to help small businesses.
It's been an awesome relationship for us. So thank you, Krisa, for keeping the light on for us. Okay. So it's
likewise.
Okay.
Thank you. Everybody have a great week.
Yes, please. Bye-bye.
Bye.